Mohan gets caught off guard when that sudden question drops, but she quickly realizes Antares is actually referring to her little brother. She asks if he's seen him, and Antares responds with a "I knew it" kind of expression, remarking that no wonder she carries that kid's scent. He then snorts, insisting the brat is full of schemes and absolutely not a good thing to have around. Mohan has no idea how to respond to that, and meanwhile, she's quietly shocked that her little bro somehow knows a being like this. It only makes her more curious about what Lin actually did to leave such an impression. Anyway, Antares doesn't bother elaborating. Instead, he just swallows the Dragon Ball, including the box, then notes that Dee chose a pretty suspicious time to hand this over. In his words, the old man clearly doesn't have much time left. Dee admits his end is approaching and remarks that he has no choice but to gamble everything he has left, his expression firm despite the grim truth behind it. But Mohan doesn't share the same calmness. She immediately asks what he means, though Dee doesn't answer. Antares is the one who steps in, explaining that her teacher's upcoming journey is basically a death sentence, meaning there's a very real chance he won't return. Mohan freezes, covers her mouth, and tears spill instantly because she can't process what she's hearing. Dee simply entrusts her to Antares, hoping he will take good care of her, and shoots into the sky, disappearing before she can say another word. Antares watches him leave and just snorts again, not particularly sentimental. Mohan stands there with watery eyes, still stunned. Antares raises a finger, and a golden spark lights up on his forehead before shooting into her body. He comments that it's a trace of his will, something that normally sleeps in her spiritual world and only awakens if her life is truly threatened. He emphasizes that, per their agreement, he'll keep her safe, but he will not go around killing people for her. Golden light wraps around her, and once everything settles, Mohan bows in gratitude. Antares tells her there's no need to thank him since this is nothing more than a deal. Still trying to process what her teacher is up to, she urgently asks where her teacher is going. Normally, Antares wouldn't bother explaining, but for our guy Lin's sake, he decided to educate her. He reveals that this entire world is actually a giant cage. Long ago, there used to be a passage leading outside, but it was sealed, trapping everyone inside. Furthermore, he explains that breaking the cage by force is almost impossible, but someone has managed to dig a small passage through it. If one can escape through that passage, then the outside world is limitless. Right now, her teacher is heading there to try his luck. Mohan asks if that path is extremely dangerous, and Antares lets out a long, irritated sigh. He already said it's a 9 in 10 death situation. Still, he notes that absolute despair always hides a sliver of hope. Mohan tries to ask more, but Antares remarks she's nowhere near as sharp as her brother, adding that if Lin were here, he wouldn't keep asking the same question. He then tells her that if she wants more in-depth answers, she'll need to make a deal with him just like her teacher and her brother did. Complete his tasks, and she'll receive what she seeks. Without hesitation, Mohan asks what he wants. Antares waves her off, saying she's nowhere near qualified. Come talk to him after she reaches half-step Supreme Divine, sounding a little too dismissive. Mohan doesn't take offense. Instead, she smiles and notes that in Antares' eyes, Lin must be far more exceptional than she is. Antares openly admits Lin is remarkable, the best he's ever seen, and it's precisely because of Lin that Mohan even gets the privilege of speaking with him right now. But at this point, his patience has officially run out. With a casual tap of his finger, he tells her to come back once she reaches that level, then considers their conversation finished. A swirling vortex tears open behind her, and before she can respond, she gets pulled in and teleported away. In the next scene, we see Mo Xinghai and the old emperor, both waiting anxiously for the elixir. He asks Grandpa Shu how the soul fusion potion is coming along, and Gramps calmly notes that everything is ready, including Meng Anwen's soul fusion formation array. The emperor, meanwhile, brings up a more troubling development. Other nations have now started encountering signs of soul-eater parasitism as well. The news has clearly slipped out, and those countries are now joining forces to pressure the empire for the potion's formula. Considering this concerns the survival of the entire human race, rejecting them outright might not be an option. Mo Xinghai realizes there's no point in arguing over who leaked the information anymore. Instead, he remarks that with the truth out, those factions might soon produce their own batch of rising geniuses. But Grandpa Shu waves off the concern, explaining he already tweaked the recipe. The new version kills the soul eaters just fine, but they won't get a single drop of the soul energy inside. The emperor nods in approval. This was something Lin worked tirelessly to obtain, so handing it over carelessly is out of the question. Still, he adds, they might as well use this opportunity to trade for resources. Both Mo Xinghai and Grandpa Shu agree. After all, the empire has poured an absurd amount of effort and resources into this whole operation, and it's time for other nations to pay their share. Sometime later, our boy makes it back to the small courtyard and reunites with his teacher. By now, Lin has hit level 63, and White Divine pats him on the shoulder, absolutely loving the insane pace of his growth. But the mood shifts quickly as he grows serious and informs Lin that the formation is complete. He further explained that they're performing their final checks, and once everything is locked in, the formation will activate. Asking if Lin is truly ready, Lin simply tells him not to worry, saying he will make it happen. A while later, our guy stands before the massive formation, the surrounding land cleared out entirely to make room for its colossal scale. A formation this big is basically an open invitation for both the Demon Emperor and Dragon Emperor to cause trouble, but crossing realms limits their strength, and Lin still has 6 of these divine law crystals up his sleeve, which might tip the balance if things go sideways. He briefly wonders what his sister has been up to lately, and wishes she were here. If she were, she could share in the soul power generated by this ritual. Meng Anwen suddenly appears beside him. He tells Lin to focus purely on the center of the formation, and the rest is their responsibility. Then Meng ascends into the sky and summons the divine tower. Massive red chains crash down and clamp firmly into the earth, completely sealing off the place. The formation roars to life, gold light shooting into the sky as Lin steps into the very center. Everything is finally ready. Meng Anwen raises his hand and announces, "Soul Fusion Formation Array activate." But that's only the beginning. At the exact same time, a golden pillar erupts straight into the sky above Xiajing Academy, and then another blasts upward in the imperial capital. Furthermore, within seconds, every major formation node scattered across the entire empire lights up one after another, like a continent-sized circuit board powering on for the first time. If we zoomed out and looked from above, the whole empire would appear drowned in golden light, almost like it's carved into the land itself. At the very center, the effect is even more overwhelming. Strands of light begin materializing around Lin, densely packed. Turns out each one represents a soul eater being reeled in from its host. White Divine estimates the total number must have exceeded 2 million by now. Lin remains perfectly calm, reciting the chant as golden light threads outward. Across the empire, every parasitized professional suddenly glows behind the back, a tiny portal tearing open and yanking the things straight out of them. The same scene repeats everywhere as they all flow directly into the formation array. Those streams of light all funneled into our guy, converting into pure soul energy and flooding into his body. The amount becomes nearly visible to the naked eye. From Lin's perspective, the system notification flooded him with each confirmed kill, bringing in 20 million experience points. Everything is proceeding flawlessly. He levels up again, but this time he clearly feels something different. He realizes that perhaps the nature of leveling up is fundamentally tied to the strengthening of the soul itself. His teacher watched from afar, absolutely thrilled, remarking that this was indeed a massive opportunity. They can feel Lin's aura skyrocketing at a terrifying rate, though at the same time allowing them to absorb some of the excess energy spilling out. But despite the excitement, White Divine never relaxes. He almost asserts those bastards out there definitely won't sit still and let this ritual complete. Golden light keeps pouring into Lin, his level climbing like crazy, when suddenly a spatial rift tears open in the sky. The terrifying pressure rolling out of it even makes White Divine's pupils shrink. Thunder roars through the clouds, and something seemed to be walking out. White Divine immediately gets prepared energy condensing around his fist as he roars that he knew they wouldn't just watch quietly. Meng Anwen keeps the divine tower burning at full output, guarding the formation as best he can. They're still unsure whether the incoming threat is from the dragon or the abyss, but either way, neither side will be allowed to interfere. Then, a deafening roar splits the air. The next moment, their faces twist in disbelief. Charging out of the portal is none other than the Baron Beast King. Old Ning and Old Mo rush over from the other side, equally shocked. And arriving with them is Feng Chang'an, the Feng family's patriarch, also a divine level. He declares they must prevent these creatures from entering the human world at all costs. We shift perspectives, revealing the culprit behind this disaster, the Dragon Emperor himself. He mocks the idiotic humans, saying he doesn't need to lift a hand. All he has to do is connect the barren land to the human world and let chaos play out. But before he can bask in his own genius, a violent backlash slams into him. He coughs up a massive mouthful of blood, the price for forcibly punching open the portal. Even so, he asserts that destroying the human race makes any injury worthwhile. The spatial channel grows more stable by the second, its energy becoming more terrifying with every pulse. The old folks know they must destroy it now before it fully solidifies. Meng Anwen is already pushing the divine tower to its limits, but even he is nearly tapped out. Lin, of course, knows exactly what's happening outside, and he understands he must finish his transformation as fast as possible. The Demon Emperor, meanwhile, had been watching silently, stroking his chin with an amused grin. He notes that since the Dragon Emperor has made his move, it's his turn as well. Abyssal flames ignite around him, and a portal rips open above the array. Everyone immediately realizes that the Demon Emperor has arrived too. A massive hand reaches through the portal, aiming straight for our guy. But our guy came prepared and summoned the Skeleton King. A towering bone throne materializes, and the Skeleton King rises from within. Our boy instantly activates his mighty soldiers, and both the Skeleton King's stats as well as its aura skyrockets, wings spreading wide as he swings his greatsword with enough force to rattle the sky. White Divine glances over and is shocked by the sight. He remarks in shock that this summoned creature is terrifyingly strong. Strong enough that he can feel divine-level power radiating from it. He's stunned, wondering when Lin even awakened a skill like this. The Skeleton King swings his blade in a clean arc, unleashing a god-slaying strike first, followed immediately by elemental rampage. Both skills explode upward at the incoming giant hand, colliding dead-on. For a split second, it actually looks promising, until the Demon Emperor's hand suddenly clenches. One deafening crack later, every ounce of that combined attack shatters into meaningless dust. The hand descends again with unstoppable momentum. The Skeleton King leaps in front and activates limitless defense, his massive frame looking pitifully small beneath the massive hand. But unbelievably, the defense actually holds, but only for a second. Then the Demon Emperor simply grabs him. With a single ruthless squeeze, the Skeleton King explodes into scattered bone fragments. Our boy was shocked. Even amplified to divine-level strength, even facing only a weakened projection, the Skeleton King still gets swatted like nothing. He has no idea how this is even possible. That's when a mocking voice echoes in his mind. Antares, of course, laughing and asking if Lin's gone stupid from fear. Before Lin can respond, a blazing phoenix tears across the sky. Antares tells him to stop spacing out, saying that's just his will attached to the girl. And riding atop that phoenix is none other than Mohan. She channels everything into a full-power strike, and the fire phoenix slams into the giant hand, flames erupting across its surface. Lin watches in shock, seeing his sister actually injure the Demon Emperor. Could it be that she had already reached divine level? If so, then her leveling speed is just insane, but she isn't done. A second skill erupts, a violent inferno smashing against the palm again. Yet when the smoke clears, the Demon Emperor's hand keeps falling unhindered. Only the Phoenix's first strike, infused with a tiny bit of Antares' power, had managed to leave a mark while her own direct attack barely registers. Still, that brief opening is all Lin needs. He fills his summoning space instantly, maxing out the Skellies once again, and merges them into the Skeleton King once more. He prepares to repeat the strategy, but Antares cuts him off, telling him to stop wasting energy. His skills simply won't work here because the gap between them isn't numbers or attributes, but something fundamental. Lin demands to know why. Antares explains that this is the difference created by the power of law. No matter how high the stats, no matter how reinforced the summon, a being wielding law simply erases anything beneath it. Even if their attributes were identical, the result would always be instant annihilation. Mohan drops in front of Lin, her twin blades glowing as two embedded pearls flare to life. White Divine catches sight and points out that those are the Earthfire pearls, legendary relics containing the flames of the planetary core. He didn't expect the old man to hand something this crazy to Mohan. Energy builds violently around her weapons. With a sharp command, her blades split into countless flying swords, all streaking toward the giant hand. Borrowing the pearl's power, she manages to produce a faint trace of law, but only a sliver, nowhere near enough to stop what's coming. Antares remarks that unless a miracle shows up, they won't be able to survive the next strike. And that's exactly when a sword suddenly streaks across the battlefield, too fast for the eye to follow. A heartbeat later, the Demon Emperor's massive hand trembles as the sword manages to sever two of the Demon Emperor's fingers. It's Jiang Yi's demon-slaying sword. The attack worked, and the hand is forced to halt. But the Demon Emperor growls that with Jiang Yi's half-dead condition, he still dares to dream about stopping him, then calls it ridiculous. Jiang Yi doesn't bother arguing. He simply states that he will find out soon enough. The severed fingers regenerate instantly, and the hand surges downward again and the two sides clash mid-air. Meanwhile, on the other side, the old folks are sweating bullets. It was clear that the Baron Beast King had already pushed most of its body through the portal, and they can feel dozens more behind it, ready to flood in. And if they ever manage to break through, then humanity is absolutely finished. Even with the help of White Divine, Meng Anwen can only seal or bind one or two, but this many was impossible even for both of them. At this point, the old folks on the front line have already accepted the worst-case scenario. Feng grips his ancestral sword and declares that if the Beast King truly breaks through, he'll unleash their family's forbidden blade and drag it down with him. Old Mo shakes his head, insisting that won't be enough, and they'll need to use Sacred Horn from his family as well. Clearly, They were both ready to sacrifice themselves. Feng tightens his grip on the long sword and tells White Divine that if they die here today, he must look after their families. White Divine immediately scolds them for being idiots, snapping that it isn't over yet, not until the final moment. And right on cue, a new voice cuts through the battlefield, mocking them for talking life and death too early. Yan joins the action and swings his weapon with everything he has, unleashing a slash toward the barren beast just as it forces most of its body through the portal. The strike detonates with the power of law, and unbelievably, the beast is sliced cleanly in half the moment the blade hits. A creature they previously considered unkillable dies instantly. The old pals freeze, as they can clearly feel the power of law woven into that strike. White Divine asks Yan if he managed to break through. Yan bursts into laughter and proudly remarks that it's all thanks to Lin's law crystals. With them, he managed to comprehend the rule of slaughter. Antares' voice resurfaces in Lin's mind, telling him to take a good look, saying that is the power of law. He adds that these barren beasts aren't truly immortal, as they stand no chance in front of such power. Lin glances down at the several law crystals in his own hand. He quietly asks Antares whether using one would allow him to kill these monsters as well. Antares replies yes. These crystals were formed from the life's essence of the Thunder God. Their explosive force would easily surpass what Yan just managed to do. But Lin isn't satisfied. Killing the beasts isn't enough. He needs to destroy the entire portal altogether. Yet that passage was constructed with the Dragon Emperor's own power layered atop a strong formation, meaning destroying it won't be easy. Antares agrees, noting that with Lin's current strength, it's not possible. Lin tightens his grip around the crystals, silent for a moment. Then he finally speaks, asking Antares to help him. Antares then asked why he should. Lin doesn't even think about it. He simply remarks that it's because Antares is his friend.